Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a genuinely fascinating concept, and that is the unseen worlds that are surrounding us, literally every single day. We're going to be unpacking a recent two-part discussion from the Tunisian podcast Miss Kuzi. Now this was a wild one because it featured two incredibly different guests. One of them claims to actively interact with an invisible spiritual realm, while the other navigates the very real, yet totally hidden, digital underground. So buckle up because we're taking a journey into the invisible forces that both of these guests argue are shaping our everyday reality.
Here is our roadmap for the explainer today. We'll kick things off with unseen worlds, spiritual and digital. Then we'll look at energy healing and ethereal beings, followed by communicating with prophets and greys. After that, we pivot straight into the digital realm with from hacking to protection, how is our data hacked, and finally, we'll wrap up with the dark side of the internet.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, Unseen Worlds, Spiritual and Digital. So we all obviously live in a physical world, right? But both of our subjects today argue that the absolute most powerful forces out there are actually the ones we can't see. On one side, we have Sonia. She's a spiritual guide who claims to tap into this cosmic, ethereal dimension that she says is just filled with energies, spirits, and even alien entities. And then on the literal opposite end of the spectrum, we have Amin. He's a cybersecurity engineer, and his unseen world is built on cold, hard lines of code, hidden hackers, and the dark web. It's a massive contrast, but they both claim these invisible realms have huge, real-world impacts on us.
Moving right along to Section 2, Energy Healing and Ethereal Beings.
Let's start by looking closely at the claims made by Sonia. She is the founder of what she calls the School of Healing. Now, she asserts that she can cure severe illnesses using luminous energy. And I want to be clear, we are reporting these strictly as her own personal claims and beliefs. But to understand the sheer scale of what she's asserting, she claims to have successfully treated highly complex conditions. We're talking cancer, multiple sclerosis, bipolar disorder, fibromyalgia, and diabetes. And she says she does all of this completely without physical touch, usually over just a 2-day course. She even shared this one story on the podcast where she claimed a patient's blood sugar dropped from a really dangerous 10 all the way down to a 6 in just 48 hours, and she says she did it simply by elevating their energy and consciousness.
You might be wondering, how does she explain this actually working? Well, Sonia defines the ethereal dimension as an invisible plane that kind of overlays our own. In her view, while our physical bodies are down here, just busy in the material world, our souls are simultaneously hanging out and interacting in this ethereal space. She firmly believes this is the exact dimension where souls, angels, and other unseen entities operate and actually pull the strings on our physical health.
Which brings us to Section 3, Communicating with Prophets and Greys.
Because Sonia's claims go way, way beyond just physical healing. She asserts that through this ethereal dimension, she has established direct, two-way communication with supernatural beings. And this leads to one of her most intense statements from the interview. She stated, quote, "I swear by Almighty God, Prophet Joseph was beside me. The prophets attend to confirm that what I say is true." Naturally, she faced some heavy pushback from the host and the audience regarding these massive religious claims, but Sonia remained completely neutral, actually comparing her modern skeptics to the disbelieving tribe of Quraysh. Her argument was essentially that people just instantly reject things their minds aren't accustomed to hearing. And that perfectly sets the stage for the sheer scope of her controversial worldview, because beyond prophets, she also claims to have received a grave warning from the ethereal realm regarding extraterrestrials. Specifically, she warns that the gray aliens are actively plotting an underground invasion of Earth right now, and she says this bizarre warning was confirmed to her directly by the ethereal entities that she channels.
All right, let's move to and see how this builds in Section 4, from hacking to protection. We are doing a sharp 180 here, pivoting from unproven spiritual realms to an invisible world that is undeniably real, meticulously documented, and highly financial. I'm talking about the digital underground. Enter our second guest, Amin, a former hacker who now works to protect systems as a professional cybersecurity engineer.
Amin's background is basically the classic hacker origin story. When he was just 16 years old, he couldn't afford internet data. So what did he do? He figured out how to use DNS tunneling, which is a technique to secretly bypass network restrictions, to trick a major Tunisian telecom security and just get himself free internet. Not long after that, he used brute force attacks to hack into 300 premium rapid share accounts over just a few days. Fast forward to today, and he uses those exact same technical skills totally legally. He's now a white-hat cybersecurity expert defending networks against the very same attacks he used to launch as a kid.
Looking back on his journey, Amin shared a really profound take on his craft. He points out that the technical knowledge you need to hack into a system is exactly the same knowledge you need to secure it. As he puts it, knowledge in itself is neutral. The code itself isn't inherently good or bad. It all comes down to whether the human sitting behind the keyboard decides to use it to build something up or tear it down.
Section 5. How is our data hacked? So how exactly does the tearing down happen? Let's get into the real mechanics of modern hacking. And as we go through this, I really want you to think about your own daily digital habits. Because if you're picturing hackers furiously typing green code in a basement to break into Facebook's mainframes, Amin says you've got it all wrong. Modern tech giants actually have incredibly robust security. Today, over 90% of hacks, especially on platforms like Instagram and Facebook, they don't target software code at all. They target human psychology. It's called social engineering. The hard truth is, the absolute weakest link in the unseen digital world is us.
Here is the exact step-by-step playbook of a typical attack so you know what to look out for. Step 1. A victim sees a lure. This could be a fake ad, a sensational video, maybe a weird email. Step 2. They click the link and download what they think is just a harmless file. Step 3. A hidden piece of malware secretly installs itself right in the background. And Step 4. From that exact moment on, the hacker has total access to the victim's device. They're just scooping up passwords and sensitive data, and the user literally has no idea it's even happening.
So the crucial point is this: your personal data is only as secure as your weakest habit. Amin really stresses that reusing the same password across multiple websites is incredibly dangerous. What hackers do is they'll breach a small, weakly protected website, say a local flower shop forum, steal the user database, and then run those exact same emails and passwords against Facebook, Google, or even bank accounts. If you're a password reuser, one tiny breach at a flower shop creates a massive domino effect for your entire digital life.
Let's go even deeper in Section 6, the dark side of the internet.
We're moving past everyday social media now to look at the highly organized criminal elements of the web. This is where the unseen digital world turns into a thriving, hidden economy. Now, people mix these two terms up all the time, but Amin gives us a very clear technical distinction. The deep web, that's just anything not indexed by Google. Your private email inbox, your banking portal, that's all deep web. But the dark web is a whole different beast. It's a hidden network that requires specialized software to even access, like the highly anonymous Onion network. It uses multiple layers of encryption to completely hide a user's physical location, which obviously makes it the perfect haven for illegal trade and major cybercrime.
To show you how this global cybercrime economy functions in the real world, Amin exposed a huge scam that was operating right out of Tunisia. It's wild. Hackers in countries like India or the Philippines will infect random PCs in France. Suddenly, a terrifying fake virus warning completely locks the French user's screen. Panicking, the victim calls the tech support number flashing on their screen. That call gets routed to a very real physical call center in Tunisia. The Tunisian operator answers, calmly walks them through it, and then charges the victim €40 simply to remove the fake warning they put there in the first place.
Another major unseen threat you've probably heard of on the news is the DDoS attack. This is the one famously used by hacktivist groups like Anonymous. Hackers will quietly infect tens of thousands of everyday, normal computers, turning them into a botnet. It's essentially a massive army of zombie computers. Then, completely without the actual owners knowing, the hacker commands every single one of those computers to visit one specific website at the exact same millisecond. The target server gets totally overwhelmed by the sudden spike in traffic and just completely crashes.
And the financial impact of a DDoS attack is absolutely staggering. Amin pointed out that a well-executed attack against a massive e-commerce platform, like an Amazon, can cost the company upwards of $4 million. And get this, that isn't $4 million over a month or a week. That is $4 million lost in mere minutes of downtime. Just gone.
But you know, this unseen war of information, it isn't actually a new thing. Amin shared this brilliant historical anecdote that blew my mind. During World War II, Alan Turing and his team famously cracked the German Enigma code, which allowed the British to know exactly where German bombers were going to strike in the dark. But to hide this massive cyber espionage success from the Germans, the British government invented a total myth. They told the public that their pilots were just eating a ton of carrots, which magically gave them superhuman night vision. They literally invented a vegetable myth to cover up a hack. Bringing this all together, we have explored two drastically different interpretations of the unseen world today. On one hand, Sonia is warning us of an abstract, unproven, ethereal realm filled with spirits and impending alien invasions, and on the other hand, Amin is warning us of a very real, highly documented digital realm filled with phishing lures, malware, and botnets that are actively targeting our finances and our personal data every single day.
We are constantly surrounded by forces we just cannot see with the naked eye. Whether those are claims of cosmic energy shifting around us or the silent, invisible lines of code routing our bank transfers right now. So, based on the evidence and the actual impact on our modern society, I want to leave you with this one thought to really chew on. Which unseen world affects your daily life more? Until next time, stay curious and for sure, stay secure out there.